You then have the Mayans, and their big thing, I don't want to give it the wrong language. I want to call it time counters, but it isn't. Time surveyors. That's a better way to put it. So their big thing that they could graduate, that whoever was controlling that area, if they could get 1 or 2 or 3 advanced time surveyors graduating every 100 years, they were, rich for an attorney. That was that valuable. So what a time surveyor does can go to a world in a no-time frequency and survey past, present, and future potentials and use multiple forms of precognitive technology, precognitive DNA technology to access galactic time and universal time, and then observe it through the Akashic record of even before it's been imprinted as a planet. So they basically give them a blueprint of what may exist in this world 1 million years from now.
Yeah. You've mentioned how, perceiving the uncreated sort of thing in many aspects, like the Australian continent and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
The unconnected dreamtime realities and future stuff. Yeah.
Well, we'll kick into the discussion, and we're actually going to start off today with a review of time. What is time? And I presume a discussion about how our perceptions of time are going to change in the reasonably close future. So, Andrew, how do you want to kick this off?
I'll give a description. I did this on the 2 other shows, and I described time as a sine wave of energy that's spiraling around a galactic central sun. Each solar system has its own unique sine wave based off of the pattern that it goes around the central sun. Each planet inside the solar system has its own subcarrier wave inside the master solar time wave. Some planets have, the best way to describe it, a North Pole and a South Pole with 2 different times. Earth has 3 subcarrier waves of time, a North Pole, South Pole, and a central time. Each one of those is set up purposely and with a distinct purpose so that all entities that are experiencing a central timeline can function with soul family above and below your timeline. So there's always an immigration pattern here in this planetary structure that keeps the bottleneck of soul families from making a massive traffic jam. We're coming to a point in our history where we're going out of a very dense part of space where the sine wave of our solar system is very compacted, and the part of space we're going into is not dense at all. So the very front part of our solar system, the leading edge planets, are already accelerated into that less dense area. And the whole time wave is starting to expand out now. And Earth and Mars are the 2 anchor planets right now, where our consciousness is literally the only thing that's holding us back into this lighter density space. This stretching effect of time is literally what the event is going to be, where we as Mars and Earth come out of the final part of our consciousness that's anchoring us in the more dense spot, and we come into alignment with the brand new solar system's new carrier wave of time based off its position to the galactic central sun and the actual density of the space. So the event is a consciousness exploration event. The event is a dream time situation, and the event is also a rescaling of time back to the natural evolutionary way that time is counted, other than the social agreement that we're functioning in this matrix right now. A long, long time ago, when we were still a very young species, we used this social agreement of time because of our 3 concentric time situations above and below and within. And this was to limit people as well as to expand the amount of souls that could migrate here. That phase is coming to an end where the social agreement of time will no longer be valid in any way, shape, or form, and all the sciences that use that counting form of time will simply have no validation within them anymore.
That's a very interesting proposition. How does that actually play out in day-to-day life when that social agreement of time is no longer valid? What does time look like on a daily basis?
Time is experience. Many beings, the way they age is through the experience. If you go and you have an experience with a friend, you'll age from that. If you go and have a very powerful experience with another woman, you'll age from that. You would only age based off of your experiences that you do.
So if you don't do anything, you'll be forever young?
Well, no, you just will lose out on interacting with the world, and this world keeps you in motion and in action. Just living in the world is an experience. So if you want to live your personal sine wave of time on the planet, if you want it to be very slow, it can be very slow. You can become a tree and still have the entire sentience and enter the dream time. That functions right now the way it is. The trees can enter the dream time. The animals can enter the dream time. But we're really separate of them because of the sacred geometry cities. And it's come to a point where the sacred geometry cities will no longer function as dream catchers. And all sentient here will share unified dream time, as well as being able to control the way that they experience time during their awake sessions here. And your experience here will determine how you age.
Okay, so we're going to literally enter dream time as one united species, along with the rest of the conscious things on the planet.
All sentient kind here on this planet, and all sentient kind invested into our freedom.
How will science be affected then? And there's an awful lot of, say, mathematics behind science. In fact, it's pretty much all mathematics. Are you saying that will no longer be valid? It won't actually be able to be used by them to predict events in the natural world? You know, like dropping a ball out of a tree will take a certain amount of time, in inverted commas.
That's based off of Newton's theory of gravity. Well, we'll learn that gravity pushes, it doesn't pull. We'll learn that our basic concepts of science are fundamentally flawed. Here's a very good example. In the early 1900s, when the Wright brothers were going to fly their airplane, the science community of the whole world came together and created mathematical formulas that said it's impossible, absolutely impossible in all of history for any human being to fly. And they had these mathematical concepts that proved the wing theory couldn't possibly exist or function. A little more than 2 years later, you had Kitty Hawk, and then a little more than 8 years later, you had airplanes falling all over the world. The same thing was with the Einstein-Rosenberg bridge, the same thing about faster than light. CERN just proved faster than light. Science constantly proves itself wrong. And this will be another one of those stages where science not only proves itself wrong, but the spiritual people will go to the scientists and say, hey, I need you to be invested and involved in this world, separate of this dogmatic concept that we've had. Where do we begin to break bread?
That will become incredibly hard for a lot of academic scientists. They're going to have a very, very interesting and difficult period of time adjusting to that.
Well, the people in the 20s had a very difficult time adjusting to the rapid change in technology. You know, you went from, having an outhouse to indoor plumbing in 20 years.
What else will be some of the impacts that we can look for as part of the signs that we're truly in the wave of awakening and
the dreams like I've described before?
All right.
It's going to come on subtly, and then people are going to go, where did this all come? And they're going to look with hindsight, it's been here a while. There'll be a lot of people that will deny their dreams, but how often can you deny your dreams if you're having them 4, 5, or 6 days a week and shit coming true?
Right. So that's like in a sense, it's like a bleed through of the truth.
Yes.
And a dispelling of the illusion, so people will start seeing what's really there.
So they can see no time.
Yeah. And that's led
no
by...
social agreement time.
No,
to clarify that. No social agreement
time.
Time we're living on is a social agreement.
Right, and that will, because there is no time.
There's no time defined as social agreement. There's galactic time, which is based off of your solar system in revolution from the galactic central sun, and your solar system is a sine wave that represents the total population of consciousness on a graph of energy. I speak in layers, and I'll be absolutely honest. I speak in layers because I'm speaking to each and every one of you individually and as a complete archive.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that's listening live and everyone that's listening in the future archives, you exist right now in this no-time field.
Mm-hmm.
And the energies of the Akashic Record, you are bringing to this energy, even if you're not listening to it until this exact second. You hit play and you see me saying this. Okay?
Yeah.
Here right now, there are millions of people listening to this, for me,
Yeah.
but there's just 3 of us in the room right now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's amazing.